Welcome and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips and strategies and techniques to master your sales conversation. I am very excited to bring to you today an episode that is part of the Mastering Excellence series. Now, this comes from my background in neurolinguistic programming, where we learn that there is a structure to excellence. And when you find somebody who is achieving exceptional results in some area of their life or business, and you ask the right questions, it starts to reveal the structure. And that's the point behind this particular episode, is to give you some ideas of structure so that you can take that structure, implement it into your own life and or business on that topic, and start to see good results for you too. So today's guest, oh my gosh, am I excited to have Samantha Prestage with me. Now, let me tell you a little bit about Samantha. Samantha C. Prestage is the founder of OXO Business Services, where she helps founder-led growing businesses get out of their own way and actually get things done with US-based virtual assistants. With a background in executive support, high volume recruiting, and lean process work, Samantha has spent her career inside fast moving, resource conscious businesses that can't afford wasted time or messy delegation. She works closely with scrappy founders who have traction, ideas, and revenue, but are still too involved in the day to day. Samantha is known for her practical, no fluff approach to hiring, delegation, and building simple structures that support real growth. And today we are going to be talking to her about how to identify what to delegate and who to delegate it to before hiring ever begins. I think a lot of us as small business owners, like, this is a struggle, and we've got an expert here to talk about it. So Samantha, and I know her as Sam, welcome to the show.
Hey, Nikki, I'm excited to be here.
I'm so excited you said yes to this, and
Yeah.
specifically that you're coming to talk to us about this topic. I always like to give some context to kind of like
Mhm.
how we connected originally and how we know each other, just for the audience. So I feel like it's been a while since we have even seen each other, but
Yeah.
was it a year ago that you did your,
Oof. Okay.
you
Yeah,
remember?
I did. Yeah, I had like an online summit
Yes.
last year. It was called Get Your Shit Together. And I was like, we've got to have Nikki on because even though we hadn't talked for I think a while before that, I just
Yeah.
remembered like here's someone who you have such a calm energy, but also I think a similar vibe of to me of like no BS. Like we've got an objective, let's go do it, you know? So I was like, we've got to have her and her expertise on. So that was about a year ago.
Yeah.
And then we originally met, oh gosh, maybe 2021 or 2022. I was part of a coaching program that was all about like how to grow your agency. And my little brain told me, Sam, you don't have an MBA. Like, obviously, you need to invest in all this coaching and all the programs to really know what you're doing, totally ignoring all of my intuition and like my own wisdom around things. And I was like, let's just put a crap ton of money into programs. These will give me the answers. And totally not what I needed. I think total, founders do that all the time. You convince
Yeah.
yourself you need to spend money on something, and then hindsight 2020. But I got to meet you did like a guest expert interview or series or something within that program. So at least I got introduced to your wonderful Maven world. So that was a plus.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored by that. And yeah, it's always such a, sometimes just being like, I will say, I'm a big, investor in my own personal and professional like growth. And so sometimes though, you get like, you make these big investments, but the things that come out of it are like the connections that you make. And somehow that makes the program worth it, even though maybe the content isn't necessarily like what you were hoping for, or maybe what you needed. And so I always look for like, who are the people who are going to be my people from this program?
Mhm.
So I feel honored to be one of your people from that program. So
Great.
thank you so much.
Which is awesome. I will say arrogantly, I'm pretty picky with my people list. Like I just came off a networking call and everyone's like dropping their scheduling links in the comments. And I'm like, I am not like, I don't want to meet with all of you. I will just pick who I want. Like I'm not dropping my scheduling link in this. And you have to just protect your time a little bit,
Yes.
protect your list. But you're so cool. Like, how could you not be on my
Oh,
people list, man?
thank you. I never think of myself as cool, but I am always flattered if somebody calls me that. So I will take that and love on it for the rest of
Yeah.
the day. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Um, tell everybody a little bit more about your business, just kind of outside of the bio, like what's the day
Yeah.
to day, what's going on, and where are you, and all the good stuff about you before we get into the questions.
Ooh, the good stuff. So
The
not the
good
bad
stuff.
stories from
Well,
high
you know, you
school.
can, I already told you before we started, like you be you and you tell whatever
Yeah.
you want.
Yeah, so I mean, I always like to clarify, like when I say virtual assistants, a lot of our clients, like either they had a bad experience with VAs before, or a
Mhm.
lot of times they've never worked with a VA. So like they hear the word VA and they're like, is this a person? Is this AI? Like what is happening? So it is real people, all based in the US. And so I always say like it's whatever an office manager, executive assistant, like your secretary, whatever that person would be doing, that person is now doing just remotely. That's what a virtual assistant is. And we're all like, how do we clean up the back office ops? How do we just make business simple and easier for you so you can like show up and actually enjoy your business? That's how I would really like. Wow, I'm overthinking my words because I know
No,
you're
you're perfect.
neuro-linguistic. So I'm like, what
No,
words
you,
do I use next?
no, you're perfect. You're perfect.
That's how I would like condense that and make
Yeah.
sense of really what we do. And so day to day for me is, kind of it's almost like a therapist. Like, okay, let me just go listen to these people's problems and then let's come up with this simple feel good solution here. So that's on the client side. And then, on the team side, it's like, okay, I got to interview people and I've got to maybe use some therapist tricks, some word tricks to really figure out what are they telling me in this interview and like will they actually be a fit for my team
Hmm.
and can they work with our clients. So my whole day is breaking down people and process and trying to make sense of it.
Which is most of our skill set. That's not our skill set. So thank goodness for someone like you in the world who can do that. And and so I am really excited to kind of dig into this topic about, figuring out like what are you going to delegate and who are you going to delegate it
Mm-hmm.
to? Because a lot of times when I'm working with my clients and they're on that cusp of like needing additional support, or like feeling just really overwhelmed and not even thinking about additional support yet, just feeling like I'm drowning in my business. And, we start talking about like, okay, so this is maybe the time for you to think about what is it going to be like to have
Mm-hmm.
someone on your team. It's really kind of hard, I think, for most of us to figure out like, okay, so what do I even start to delegate? Like, how do I even start to look at that? Um, and do I just go find somebody new every time I have a new like task I want
Mm.
to delegate? And so, anyway, I'm so excited to dig into this topic. So, I always
Yeah.
start with a question like, if
Mm-hmm.
I was going to stand in for you for a day, so lucky me, I get to be Sam for the day, and think about like, how do I have to think? How do I have to behave
Mm-hmm.
when I am trying to decide what should be delegated first?
Mm. Yes. So the first thing, if you're oh, so if you're going to get into my brain, which is can sometimes a hot squirrel brain mess, the first thing is remind yourself, how do I keep it simple? Like how I have this problem that seems a little messy, that I'm a little confused on where to start. How do I keep it simple? Like that's my through line on everything.
Okay.
And when you think about what do I delegate first, if you were to start Googling this, then you're going to get hit with all your Facebook ads of some VA assistants that use really, or VA companies that use really vague descriptions here. And they say just the low level tasks, the admin work, just get that off your plate. And if you're already overwhelmed, you really have no idea what that means at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And like a whole bunch of my clients, like, I don't know what I need help with. I just know I need help. Right. So where
Right.
do I start with that? And I always say, like, don't even think about what you want to delegate. Like, don't even think about that. Let's start with your job description. So we kind of break it out into a map it, keep it, delegate it. And you tell me like when you where you want it, like you tell me when to pause and we can dig in deep. But
No, go,
if
keep
let's
going.
just look at map it and keep it. So the first thing is you're just going to map out high level, like what it takes for your business to function. And if you've, I mean, I kind of came up with this idea before and I was validated when I saw it in EOS and Traction. I was like, I know what I'm talking about. Yes. Also, will this become copyright issues? But every business breaks down into three buckets. Like it doesn't matter how complex you think your business is, even if you're in finance and you're like, well, I've got all these like regulations to keep up with. Your business
Yep.
breaks down into three buckets, I promise you.
Yeah.
It's sales, ops, and cash. How you find the people you want to sell to, how you deliver on the thing that you sold, and then how you get the money for the thing that you did. That's your business breaks down into that. And so start just saying like, okay, what functions, what processes happen in these three buckets? Like sales is everything sales and marketing. Do you do LinkedIn connections? Do you do podcasts, blogs, your discovery calls, how you're doing your proposals, right? Ops is going to be your service and product delivery. So if you've
Yeah.
got project management, client onboarding, all that, and then cash, cash might come before that for a lot of our service providers. We're going to invoice ahead of what we do, right? But
Yes,
your
we
day-to-day
are. I want to
bookkeeping.
emphasize, yes, we
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe you bring your cash before if you're
Yeah.
mapping this out
Yeah. Yeah.
bucket wise. But that's just all your invoicing, bookkeeping, your reports. How are you looking at the numbers in your business? And you
Yeah.
don't have to have SOPs here. That's not what I'm saying when I say process, but just like sticky note what you're doing. I love to use Canva whiteboard on this. I think it's an awesome tool when you've got like thoughts that are fluid. Or like if you're a paper and pen person like me, like don't make fun of me. I still have a written planner. Like I've got my digital calendar and my actual written one.
I love it.
But so if you're that kind of person, like go spend the $20 to get those flip chart sticky notes and cover your wall so you look like a mad man, like, discharged police officer trying to solve a crime. Put it all over your wall. Start mapping out what your business is. And then, so that's your map it. And then you're going to take a look at that and you're going to say, okay, what do I want to keep? Like, what do I really like to do? What lights me up in my business? And maybe there's a few things that you're like, okay, this really can only be done with by me. And I take a lot of caution in posing that question. And so maybe I'd flip it to what would be extremely difficult for you to trust someone else to do this? Like, let's say
Mm,
you had an A player, like I probably like I just brought on a new ops assistant for us internally. Eventually, I'm going to have her in our bank accounts paying our contractors and things. I'm not going to have her doing that at first. Like
yeah.
she has to prove that I can trust her. Like she's not going to have my bank logins, right? So that's like a dotted circle. It's not like a real circle to delegate quite yet. So be cautious of really what can be done by you, but just think what lights you up? Like
Yeah.
I still want to be involved with my clients. I tried delegating all like the client stuff before. And I was like, I hate my business. I'm going to shut down the VA side. And it was because I wasn't engaged with my clients. Like I love brainstorming with them. So why would I delegate that? I'm just going to start circling, what do I want to keep? And so when you can figure out what's your job description, then the rest of it gets really easy. And then also like, I think there's times where we think, okay, like if I'm going to delegate, then like what am I going to do with my time? And that's not clear. And if you hire before that you're clear on that, then what's going to end up happening is you micromanage that person. Like you think, okay, they're not bringing ROI, or you just like start scatterbraining. Like I don't know, you open your computer and like, I guess I'm going to do like 4 hours of LinkedIn engagements today. It's like, well, is that really helpful for you? I don't know. Like, because you don't know
Hmm.
what your job description is. So I'll pause there, but that's where it's like, if you're thinking, what do I delegate first? Like get that out of your brain and think about what do you want to do first?
I love this process. So it's map it, keep it. What's the third one? Sorry, I missed it.
Delegate it would be the
Delegate it.
third
Okay,
one.
thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you. I figured that was it, but I didn't write it down, and so I didn't want to
Yeah.
say it. So delegate it. Okay. I love this process. I also love how you talked about how business breaks down into like these three buckets, right? Cash,
Mhm.
ops, and cash, or excuse me, sales, ops, and cash.
I
Love,
wish
love,
more
love.
cash. Can
I
we
know,
have
right?
cash
Like,
twice?
yes, cash twice. That'd be awesome. Well, sales
Yeah.
does
Yeah.
result in cash, hopefully. So, okay.
Yeah.
So this idea of, take the time to go and really kind of flush out what's happening. So however you whiteboard it, however, like what makes sense for your brain, do that.
Hmm.
And then really challenge yourself on the keep it. Like, what are those things that light you? I love that you talk about light you up, because one of the things I know in my business, people have often said of like, why don't you hire other people to coach for you? And I'm like, if there's other people coaching for me, I don't want to do this business because I love the coaching. Like
Hmm.
that is the piece that lights me up. And I will give absolutely everything else away before I would get rid of that piece. Like,
Yeah.
and so one of the things people are often surprised is like, oh, you're the person who shows up on the coaching calls, like you're the person who answers the questions in the group. And I'm like, yeah, is that surprising? And I'm finding that sometimes it is surprising in a coaching program for you to actually get like what I would be considered in my business is like, you get me. And I wouldn't want to do it any other way. So I love that, the
Yeah.
like What is the thing that lights you up?
Let me just like dig in on that. That was, talked about a coaching program that I joined and I was like, I'm not really happy with this. And it's because like I followed the content of the creator of the program and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I think I like her perspective. But then when I got into it, like I had a different accountability coach. I had a different and so it was like, okay, not that that's wrong, like
No.
if coaching is your thing and you really want to scale it, like you're gonna need accountability coaches. Like you can't do it all yourself. But for me, it was just like I thought I was paying for your time.
Yeah.
Like, why am I not? And so it was a bit disappointing on that. But even I'd also kind of going back to, okay, like what do you want to keep? There were things when I was building this out for my like new ops assistant when I was like, okay, like I like this, but I want this to be collaborative. Like I don't want to be solely responsible for it. Like developing our VAs, that's something we do, whether it's like the client really wants them to learn a new system, learn a new technique or something, or it's just, hey, we want them to keep up with best practices. I love doing that. Like I think I'm never going to retire. I'll just like become a professor at some point. Like I do love teaching, but I don't want to be doing that all the time. I don't want to be the one like figuring out what the topics are and scheduling that, right? So I need my ops assistant to help me and then tell me like, okay, this is your one quarterly one that you're going to do and they're going to do the rest of it. So you can also kind of see what balance makes sense for you as well there. Not that you need someone to come in and help coach, right? Like
Right, right, right. No,
we
no,
want
no.
Nikki. Nikki's awesome. Give us Nikki, right? But
You're gonna get it whether you like it or not. That's kind of the thing.
yeah,
So, okay, so
yeah.
I really love this. And so once you've gone through this exercise, my
Mhm.
next question is, how are you figuring out who you're going to delegate that to? And
Mm.
then I guess that leads to maybe hiring, or are you looking for someone internally on the team that you already have? Like, how are you making
Yeah.
some decisions around that?
Yeah. So, okay, let's look. So we've circled what we want to keep, and now we've got what's left over. And so
Yeah.
now we just have to say, okay, like what makes sense together? So for me, I'm looking at an operations assistant and said, okay, like some of the stuff that happens in cash, like invoicing, like that's part of client onboarding. So there's things that just kind of go together naturally. If I wanted to stretch it, I could say, okay, I also want her to maybe help with scheduling our podcasts or turning the podcasts into blogs. I could definitely turn it into a generalist role. For me, I know like that's long term, not what I want. Like I want someone that just owns all of our content and like that's our next hire. So I'm not going to group that together. I'm not going to take the time to train her on that. Um, Now, granted, like we do have clients who their assistants are generalists, where they're helping create project plans, and then also, a different day they're doing the LinkedIn posts for that client. So it's like, okay, if our budget is for just one person, that's totally fine. Let's look at how can we group this all together, and then that's going to tell us like, okay, we need to find someone that has done all these things in the
Hmm.
past or has the capability and the potential to learn these things and is not going to like I'm not going to be dragging them along to teach them. So I kind of that's a little bit of a trick question because I do feel like
Yeah.
it's the cliche, oh, it's custom, depends on what you got going on answer, but it really is.
Yeah.
And we could you could chat GPT this as well. Like, okay, like can I have one person doing all of these things? And again, like that's totally fine if that's what your budget is and you just want one team member. Like the other caveat here is as I hire, like I don't want to keep managing all the people. So if I know I'm going to hire a content creator, ultimately my ops assistant is going to oversee them, even if they're not like doing the editing. The ops assistant is at least going to know here's our schedule for these things. Like, is the content manager keeping up with the schedule and overseeing that work?
Hmm.
Um, let me. I feel like I'm not really answering your question though. I'm just
No,
rambling. So
I
let
want
me
to hear
back
what
up, I
you,
guess.
I'm looking to kind of, I'm looking for structure. So I will say like the thing,
Yeah.
the major overarching kind of message that I got to my question is start grouping your activities, like start grouping things together because that's going to help you figure out like when you are going out to hire, what are the tasks that you're or activities that you're looking for somebody who has experience in. So right? Like because that kind of leads to my next question is like how do you identify the right person, the right type of person to bring into the team?
Yeah, so this is going to get us into interviewing, which I
Okay.
absolutely love
Okay.
because I think a lot of people don't know how to ask interview questions. And you're
It's true.
kind of asking questions and then you walk away from the interview and you're like, I still don't know if this is a good person or not. And then you do like 5 interviews and then you're exhausted from meeting all these people. And you're like, okay, I guess I'll pick the best possible of like these kind of crappy choices. Not saying that the candidates are crappy, but you're in this confused, not lackluster state, I'd say. So there's a few segments of this of really who is the right person. The first thing is, okay, let's really look at experience. Like before you even look at resumes, like let's say you've posted the job, now you've got all these applicants, don't even look at the resumes yet. The first thing I want you to ask yourself is industry experience even relevant? Because we've got to now learn, how am I going to read this person's resume and their experience? So for me personally, I think the digital world, digital online businesses, is a bit different than like brick and mortar as far as like how things operate, what clients expect from you. So I want to make sure I found someone that has worked in an online business before. If you're like in construction, that's a super complex world. You probably want someone, even if they, like, let's say you're a commercial general contractor, you want someone that's been in construction, but maybe they haven't worked for a GC before. Maybe they've worked for like a residential subcontractor. That's totally fine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So kind of take a look of like, really, is your industry super unique and complex, and do they need experience there? And then on the flip side, what do we absolutely not want? Like, I think it's so important to be clear on what do you not want. Like, even going back to the coaching program, I'm also super into personal development. I didn't totally know what the next program I wanted was, but I knew, okay, this is what I don't want in another
Mm.
program, and like
Yeah.
start to set my criteria there.
Yeah.
So if we looked at it for me personally, I was like, even when I hire virtual assistants, and this happened to be specifically for internal, I don't want someone coming from like a super corporate background. Like if they worked in corporate, fine, but if the majority of their experience was corporate or medical, I'm like, you've worked in really rigid environments. You've worked in a wait and ask for permission environment. And I'm like a ask for forgiveness person. Like,
Yep.
just go do the thing and I'll tell you if it's wrong or not, like go
Mm-hmm.
do it. So I was like, I'm going to rule out resumes that have that, or people that have worked in too much real estate. No offense to the real estate people. And if you've got an awesome real estate business, like go you. For me personally, I've found, especially on the residential side of real estate, there's just a lot of cringy stuff that happens on the lead gen side. You'd think that this would be a really relationship building industry, and just the systems in place and how most real estate agents are taught to do things,
Mm-hmm.
to me, comes across pretty cringy. And so I didn't want anyone that had too much exposure in that area, because I'm like, I don't want that influence in our customer service, our client experience. So I'd think through really industry experience there so you can understand how to read this resume. And then if we look at the soft skills, I'd look at like, okay, what have you done your own amount of self-awareness to know like what you like and don't like in the people that you work with? Because this is someone that's going to support you. It's totally okay to be a little bit picky here. Like, don't be like a asshole picky, like you're not going to find a unicorn unless you're dishing out a crap ton of money and spending a long time searching for this unicorn. Um, but be picky. Like, I know I need someone that can do processes, but if they are too process focused, too process rigid, I know that they're probably gonna like just not get along with me, because they're not gonna have that ask for forgiveness approach. They're gonna want to like tell me all the details about what's happening. They're gonna be a little bit more problem focused than solution oriented. So, take the time to be self-aware of maybe not just your business core values, but your personal core values. Like, I also know if someone is way too free-spirited, like, you might be fun for me to talk to for a little bit, but if I have to have a weekly check-in with you, oh my gosh, like I'm going to be faking that smile every time. And I
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the energy to be faking it too much, y'all. Like, I need someone that I can get along with. Does that help to bring some clarity, or where
Yeah,
can we
I
kind
love
of
this.
dig
I love this.
deeper?
So I want to just comment a few things that
Yeah.
you said just for the listener. Some of the structure that I'm picking up here
Hmm.
is when you are deciding that it's time to start looking for somebody, that it's really important that you do a little bit of homework, because, one of the things you said is not everybody knows how to ask interview questions, or what are the
Hmm.
right interview questions to even ask. And that's such an important part of this. It's like, if you want better answers, you have to ask better questions, right? And so that's on you. Like, the responsibility for that is on you. So getting really
Hmm.
clear, and some of the ways to help you identify what some of your important interview questions are going to be is one, you need to know whether or not industry experience is important to you.
Hmm.
Two, you need to know what you don't want, like so that you can ask questions that will reveal, like, are they going to have some of these mindsets, these um, experience and things. You gave an example of like an industry that you would shy away from. And so is there something that you've experienced with a type of industry that wouldn't resonate with your clients, right?
Hmm.
um, and I know when I'm thinking about this for my people, and I've learned that it's really important to me, anybody on my team, if they have any interaction with my clients, they have to have this very like loving kindness approach. Like that is so important that my clients feel appreciated and loved on.
Hmm.
They don't get to abuse my people. Like I have no patience for that, but
Mm.
I do expect for my team to to show up with a lot of kindness and grace to my clients. That's really important to me. Um, and then this idea of like your soft skills, like what do you like, what do you not like? And it reminds me that like one of the things that I am not like delegation and managing a team was never really something that I was looking to do in my
Yeah.
business. And so if somebody needs a lot of Nikki attention as a team member, they're going to be wildly dissatisfied with the job. Like I know that now,
Hmm.
having had these experiences of having different people on the team, people who want that, like, I just want to have conversations with you that aren't, business related. And
Hmm.
it's not that I don't care about my team. I love my team. Actually, I really, really love my team members. It's not that. It's just that I don't have the like it doesn't come natural to me to be the like, so tell me like how was your weekend and like that like
Yeah.
I'm ready to get on to the work. Like let's get to the work.
Yeah.
So I don't want somebody on my team who's wildly unsatisfied. Now, on the flip
Hmm.
side is if you are somebody who wants that kind of interaction, then you don't want to have a team member who feels put out every time you're asking them questions because they feel like
Mm.
you're digging in to their personal life. So I just think you gave some really great kind of structure to start to think about when you're going to pull somebody into the team. Like the best thing, in my opinion, but please speak up here, Sam, if you
Yeah.
feel differently or if you have another take on this, but is you want people who are going to really enjoy being a part of the team and on the team because you're going to get the best work out of them. They're going to, it starts to create loyalty, it starts to create culture. And so I don't know, how do you think about those types of things?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. The only thing with that is that, if you are not used to hiring, when you have that mentality of like, I want someone that is going to enjoy being on the team, like, then you make it really about them and you still don't know what you're searching for.
Good
So I would
point.
flip it to say, like, okay, who would I enjoy being with? Right. And like,
Yeah,
again, this is just hot on my mind because I just hired a new ops assistant. So I'll
I
just
love
keep
it.
bringing up my own experience versus my clients. But for me, I also know like I need someone that I can be kind of a hot mess with. Like I show up so on it for my clients. I need a place where I can just like, with
Yes.
somebody and say,
Yes.
here's my mess, here's my problem. Like, please clean this up. And if, to your point, if it's someone that uh, doesn't if it's someone that's like they want to get onto the work, like that's tough for me because like yeah, I want to get onto the work, but I need like the 2 minutes of like real human interaction
Mm,
for me to like trust you and feel comfortable with you. And if you're too get onto the work, that I'm like, oh, like this person has their stuff together. I need to have my stuff together for them. And then like showing up for you stresses me out. Like I need to have someone
yeah.
where I'm not stressed. Like I need you to show up and serve me because I try to serve everyone so well. And so, if I can figure that out of really who am I comfortable with, who would I want showing up for me, that just naturally makes you show up better for that person anyway.
Mm,
It naturally makes a better team environment for that person because you enjoy having them on your team. And so this is one of those areas where I mean I think in a lot of HR and recruiting content especially if like you spend so much time on LinkedIn, you're going to see so much about making employees happy and like how do you have this culture? And that doesn't work for like the small business owner, the solopreneur that you don't have a lot of resources to put into like some awesome culture. And that's totally fine. So
Hmm.
stop looking at the employee focused questions and be a little selfish here. Just look at what do you want? What do you need? And then go with that, and don't always be a selfish leader. But when you're selfish in your clarity, then you can figure out, okay, who's the best person that encourages me to show up as a servant leader? Does that
I
make sense?
love
Does
that.
that
Yes,
feel like
yes.
I, okay.
Okay. I feel like you just reframed kind of what my thought process was. And yes, I agree with what you're saying here of that it is okay in that hiring process when you're figuring out what are the questions and who's going to be the right person that you are coming from this place of like that being the selfish, like really thinking about what do I need? Because the reason you're hiring, chances are, is because it's time to start getting things off your plate because you're probably overwhelmed. You're probably feeling like taxed. So the last thing you want to do is bring somebody onto the team that taxes you further, right? Because that's the whole point in bringing somebody on the team is to like free you up to do the things that you really love to do. And if
Yeah.
now it's managing somebody who, every time you're about to get on a call with them, you feel like you have to alter your personality
Mhm.
or, whatever, make some kind of change to put them at ease, that's going to be difficult. So I
Yeah,
love
and
that you
then
said that.
you're going to end up doing work yourself because you don't feel like explaining it to this person because
Yes.
they're exhausting to talk to. And then
Yes.
you're just going to like, oh, well, this person doesn't provide me any value when also you haven't given them the opportunity to provide value. And it's just like this really crappy circle, right? And I think kind of going back to earlier, I think I joked about the therapist vibe a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that the reason why like my clients sometimes feel like, okay, this is a bit of like business therapy is because I'm asking them the questions that they get to feel selfish in. And I think that sometimes we're so outwardly focused, which is all good. Like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
like Jesus tells us to love, to show up and serve and give generously. Like, I'm all for that. But when you're so focused on that, you just dilute the clarity that you need for even your own like vision and goals of the business. Like I've done
Mm-hmm.
that where I'm like, I think this is what I should be doing. So like I think those are my business goals. And get selfish. Get selfish when you're planning your business. No one's going to see your Canva whiteboard or your flip charts unless you are dumb enough to take a screenshot and post it. Like just, like just be kind of like a total selfish person. And so I get to ask my clients these questions of like, what feels good for you? Like, really, would you be happy with this? And sometimes they start and they answer their question authentically and then they trip themselves up and they're like, but I think this and da da da. And then I get to say, hey, like, you said your goal was to focus on this. Is this really what you want? Is this a task you want to keep? Or
Mm-hmm.
would you rather someone else handle it for you? And they're like, oh, like, really, I would rather have someone else, but I feel bad asking. And I'm like, don't feel like you're paying them. Like, you're paying them to do
Yeah.
a job.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad asking them to do something, like just be a little selfish. And if that's okay. I don't know why I keep repeating that, but I feel like someone needs to hear that it's okay to focus on you a bit?
Yeah, I think that is brilliant. And I want to just also say here and get your comment on it is
Mm.
like I know one of the hardest things for me is to then have somebody who's not a good fit and then put myself in a position where I'm like, so now I need to let them go. And that is horrifically painful, obviously for them, but for me too. And so that's the other thing that I think taking this time and figuring this out ahead of time is going to save you, hopefully, from putting yourself in a position where now you're like, I'm just dealing with it and I'm miserable in my business because I don't want to fire this person. I don't want to have that
Yes.
difficult conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a huge assumption limb here, and
Okay.
hopefully the branch won't crack beneath me. But I'm going to assume for a listener, if the thought of thinking a bit selfishly for 30 minutes is stressful, then you're probably also rather conflict averse. And why would you want to put yourself in a position to have some conflict resolution
Mm,
and be confrontational with somebody, which is, firing or letting them go or even giving any bit of performance feedback? That's going to be super tough for you if you already struggle with thinking about what you want and what you need. So yeah, take the time to figure that out on the front end so you can find your best team member who, maybe you do have to give a little bit of feedback here and there because no one comes in perfect and they need to know how you prefer things, but you're not going to be in the position of like, hey man, like your work sucks. I don't get along with you. I got to let you go. Like you're not going to have that conversation.
Yep. Yep. Which, oh, I had one of those conversations one time at an airport with somebody that I ended up having
At
to,
an airport, like in person,
yes,
or you were on a call while in
we
the
were in
airport?
person. No, we were in person at the airport. It was horrific, traumatizing,
Oh,
probably for both of us. Luckily, she kind of fired herself, but I was gonna
okay.
like it was definitely gonna end either way. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was horrific, and I never ever want to have those experiences
Can
again. It
I
was
flip
so
the
bad.
interview questions onto you and just ask, like, was this like a long time building, or it was like a kind of all of a sudden, like a wow, wake up call thing, or?
It was okay. So just talking about this, like, um, there were some big red flags that I was trying to ignore because I really wanted to be, I wanted to come from a place of love and
Mhm.
graciousness and generosity. And so I was getting to the point where it really got to the point where it felt like I was being taken advantage of. And
Mhm.
then I ended up hiring this person to attend a live event with me, paying for everything, which of course that's my responsibility as the business owner, to pay for like flights, all that plus, plus wages while they were
Mhm.
at the event. And being in person, I started to recognize even more things that like did not work. Um, and there are certain like triggers for me. And one is like money. And if you act like my money doesn't matter, then that's a problem. Like that is such a red flag. And so there were a bunch of things that happened that didn't go well. Like they ended up leaving a bunch of my gear sitting out. They were supposed to be responsible for getting it shipped back, and they just left it like sitting for hours out in the middle of like a hotel like hallway, and it was expensive gear and it was just, anyways, just a lot of things. But then at one point I saw them take cash for something, like that somebody bought one of my books and they took cash for it and they stuck it in their purse. And then later they pulled it out of their purse in front of me and was like, "Is this my money or yours?" And I was like, "The fact that you don't know that is a real problem for me, like a real problem." So that, and there were other
Gosh.
things too, but, um, and then they were really put out that I was not okay with that. Like that I had a little bit of an attitude about like, you should know this. Like you shouldn't be asking me
Mhm.
these questions. Like this is your responsibility. I'm paying you to know these things, and the person did not like that at all and basically kind of just said to me like, if you don't like it, then we should part ways. And I was like, you're right, we should. And then we both had to get on planes going back to our prospective
Were your
locations.
seats next to each
No,
other?
she actually
Oh,
was flying to a
okay.
different state than I was, but then
Thank
by the
goodness.
time I landed, I had all these text messages of like her trying to backtrack because I think she didn't want to lose me as like she didn't really want to lose the job. But I was like, no, 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 you already made this decision. But it was just horrific. Like it was so traumatizing. And I always think about that now of like I don't want to have those kinds of conversations. And so and I really don't, I'm not a great manager. Like I will admit that. Like I don't really want to
That's okay.
manage people um
Hmm.
because I want my people to manage me, honestly. And
Yeah.
I do have a few people on my team. I have a few people on my team and one in particular who she has no problem managing me and she'll just tell me like this is what's needed, Nikki, and I love that. Like I really
Mhm.
appreciate that. And then I have my other team member is so great about offering suggestions and ideas that she has for the business. And I love, love, love that so much. So I'm really grateful for who I have on the team right
Yay to Nikki's team. Thank you for showing up and
now.
taking care of Nikki.
Yes, I
Yeah,
need
we
to be taken
sometimes
care
like
of.
we need someone to kind of play the babysitter for our brains
Yeah,
sometimes, and that's okay.
yeah,
Now, kind of going back to like, oh, first off, I'm so sorry. Like that's like those are the moments where you're like, ah, like reality TV is so fake and scripted. And then you meet someone, you're like, holy crap, like people like this actually exist. And I've just encountered one.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious, right?
Yeah.
Um, and what I'd encourage is if anyone has ever had a bad hire, even if it wasn't as like dramatic as Nikki's moment, was go back and just think through. This is where like I'm not a huge journaler in all honesty, but I would say like, okay, this is a good time to like just sit and write down your thoughts. Don't type them out, write them down, and just think through. Okay, what were some of my initial interactions with this person? What were some of those things that first came up that maybe I thought, oh, I shouldn't judge. Like, maybe they're having a bad day, or like, let me give them the benefit of the doubt. Because, we want to show up like a decent human, right?
Yeah.
But there's probably some things that happened in your early interactions with this person that were your yellow flags.
Oh my
And,
gosh,
we
yes.
ignored them and then they became big red flags, right? So there are times where it's when you have that gut feeling of, I think I'm judging a little too hard, I would argue that there's probably something deeper that you need to dig into with this person. Or maybe you are a super judgmental person and you got to dig into some self-awareness. Like that's
Yeah.
also totally fine
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
But because also on top of that, like, I get some clients that are like, I want someone that cares more than me. It's like, you're not going to find that. You're not going to find someone that cares about your business more than you do. Because if they
Yes.
care about the business more than you do, then they're going to end up like getting frustrated with you because they're like, this stuff is important and you don't care, right? So you're
Yeah.
not going to find that, but you do want to find that decent human that cares about you, that cares about your success, right? And if you've got some yellow flags, then there's some selfishness on their end that is not going to translate well to executing on your work and helping you succeed. So just take that some time to really dig into that. I've had that as well, where I was like, man, I want to give this person the benefit of the doubt. They've got a big sob story. I'm like, how do I let this person go? Like, I don't think they're showing up well. But, all these LinkedIn posts are telling me, like, when you give this person grace, then, like, 5 years down the line, they turn into the best person ever. And so I try to stick it out with them.
Mm.
And then I'm like, no, like, this is actually detrimental to my own mental health here, detrimental to my clients and my reputation. Like, this cannot continue. And so I've been in those horrific moments as well. And it doesn't feel good. And then it makes you question yourself and trust your own decision making, and then you feel like not confident in business as well. And it's like, why did I put myself in that position? Like, yes, this person did these things, but I kind of dug the hole of opportunity for them to mess up
Yep.
myself, and
Yep.
I need to put the shovel down.
Yes. Yes. I love that
Yeah.
you said that. And those are hard moments, right? Like I can look back and see the places where I just let things go, didn't speak up, did things I knew I shouldn't have, like things I agreed to, things I shouldn't have agreed to, because I was trying to just make sure that I was creating this like really safe place for this person. Um, yeah, it was just, yeah. So many red flags. And again, like lack of leadership really on my part. So having to, own that too was
Yeah, and
hard.
I'd say also like we have some clients who they're solopreneurs. They don't want to build an empire, but they do want to grow their revenue.
Yep.
But yeah, they're kind of like you, like they don't want to manage a whole team. They don't want to like do all this leadership development because they're not going to manage a whole team. So why do that? And so my argument there is it is, hey, we probably don't need to do like a tremendous amount of leadership development, but we need to do some personal development because
Mhm.
you need some clarity. Like the best thing a leader can do is at least provide a clear direction. So if you're in that boat of like you don't want to build a whole big empire, like I used to say like I want to be a shark. Like I'm going to build a business so I can be on Shark Tank and I'm going to be an investor. Like hear me roar, people. And
Love
then I
it.
was like, wait, like I'm not willing to make the sacrifices in my life to do that, and I think that's
Mhm.
totally okay. Like I have two little kids. I'm happy with my business and how it's growing right now. Like I'm not going to sacrifice certain personal values to get to that point. Totally fine.
Yep.
But I need to still do right by my business, by my own goals, by my team, by having clarity in like what we're doing and where we're going. So that's how you can show up as a leader for your business if you still want to be a solopreneur or have a small team of 5 or less. Like just be super clear on what exactly you're trying to accomplish. And
Yeah.
that makes so many other things in business, like your positioning, like we're figuring out certain things that Nikki might teach you. Like Nikki can only do so much for you if you're not clear on what exactly you're selling, doing, accomplishing, right? Like, and I'm sure you've had those moments as well with clients of like, we're at a stalemate, mate. Like, come on, man, like figure this out so we can then move on to the next step.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Okay, as we start to wrap
Yeah.
up this part of the interview, because I know I'm taking a lot of your time here,
Sorry
is
for my
no,
soapbox.
I love it. I love it. It's been really helpful. I will say I feel like I've gotten some aha moments from this, and I hope the listener has as well. What haven't I asked you yet about when you think about kind of the overarching kind of goal where we started here of how to identify what to delegate and who to delegate it to before the hiring ever begins? Is there anything you haven't commented on that you feel like I really need to say this?
Oh man. Oh yes, yes.
Okay.
I would say you don't need SOPs. I think I meet some clients sometimes and they're like, well, I'm just not ready because I haven't like there's still a lot that's messy. There's still a lot that I need to like get these processes down. And I would say that is just a stalling thing. And if you're not ready to hire, that's totally fine. Just be clear on your answer and say that. But if you're waiting to hire because you feel like you need to have all your stuff together for this person to come in, like you know what? Like they're probably going to change the processes anyway because the processes have been built for just you. And you want someone that's going to come in and make things more efficient anyway. So don't wait to bring help because you want SOPs down. Wait to bring help if you're not clear on you what you're sorry. If you're not clear on what your ideal client is, what exactly your service is, and how you want to deliver that service, which again, you don't need an SOP for that. You just need an idea of how you want client experience to go. If
Hmm.
you're not clear on that, yes, wait to hire. But if you know all of that and you just happen to not have SOPs down, like screw it, man. Like go out and find your person and let that person then come in and clean up your processes and document things for a future assistant. Like don't use that as a procrastination or justified procrastination because it's not justified.
Yeah, that was mic drop moment right there. I think
Thank you.
I feel like that will hit right to the heart of many of us listening to what you just said. So thank you for
Yeah.
that. All right,
Yeah.
so as we move into the little, what I call the little something extra, just so as we can learn a little bit more about Sam.
Mm.
My first question I love to ask people is what's something that brings you pleasure and or joy right now in your life?
Coffee, lots of coffee.
Okay, coffee.
Wow, that's a big question. Um, I don't know how to answer that question.
Okay. You
Uh,
don't have to.
I don't have something specific besides just like living in a lot of gratitude. I'm in kind of like a limbo area on some personal things. So living in a lot of gratitude for my husband and my kids. And so I think trying to find something new that I can be joyful about every day is probably my strategy right now.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. Well, I'm sending you lots of love to support that every
Thanks.
day, finding those things that bring you joy. Okay, what is something that people might be surprised to learn about you?
Ooh.
I'm asking the hard
What
questions.
is that? I don't know. I'm gonna like now think of like all the networking events where I've had to have like the cringy two truths and a lie. And I'm like,
Ah,
I I I don't speak Spanish. I have curly hair. Both my parents speak Spanish. Puerto Rican, I don't speak Spanish. That's, I could do an aerial, so I could do a cartwheel with no hands. That might be a cool thing
that
to
is a
say
cool thing.
that I can do. I don't know what I think in the past some people have been surprised to like discover that I'm super like friendly, energetic, like show up with love. I don't know what my content did in the past to make people believe that I was like super corporate-y. And I think that was
Oh,
part of my 2025 thing was okay, like I need to be a little bit more vulnerable and authentic. Because if you think that I'm like a boring person, I mean, I can be boring. I've got grandma slippers on at night. I like to read with a cup of tea. I go to bed by 9:30, 10 o'clock. So I can be boring. Okay. Simple, boring lifestyle works for me. Okay. Like I'm in my
That sounds like the
grandma era.
perfect life for me. That's that. I mean, you're kind
Yes.
of saying the things that I really like love.
Yeah.
So
Like my husband is the one that's like, let's go to a concert. And I'm like, do I want to stand with like beer spilling on my feet and like sticky sh like I don't know if I want to do that. Like I can be boring,
yeah,
but I still try my best to show up and like be that background cheerleader for people. Maybe I guess maybe that.
I don't know. Every interaction I've had with you, there's such a like you radiate. I will feel it. Like you radiate joy and love and
Oh,
like just this very lightheartedness to how you show up in
thank
conversations.
you.
That's been my experience with you. So,
Yay.
yeah, I don't see boring, but I also think like, oh, slippers,
Like
reading,
just let me
going to
lean
bed
back.
early. Yes, please.
Yes.
Those are all the things I value very highly in my own life. Okay. What's
Yes.
something exciting going on in your business right now?
Ooh, okay. I would say, and this is kind of like a delayed excitement because I did kind of make this switch last year and now we're like living in the benefits of it. And I'm reminding myself, don't get shiny objects, Sam. Again, be clear, be strict with yourself, don't have shiny objects. But last year we really stopped pushing our process improvements. I used to do a lot of, I come from like a Lean Six Sigma background, used to do a lot of process improvement. And then I was like, I don't enjoy this. Like, yes, it like high profit margins, this
Mhm.
is like the consulting work that pays the bills, but I really don't enjoy this. And so we've spent a lot of time rebuilding the business to really just be our virtual assistant and then some flat fee recruiting. And so that has been exciting where, I started my business in 2020, so I'm 5.5 years in. So at that 4.5, 5 year mark was when I started feeling, oh, I actually know what I'm doing now, what I'm doing now. Like I feel somewhat confident in all my things because I was clear on this is what we want to do and this is what we don't want to do. So I'd say that I'm living in that excitement with also some nervous excitement of also like, did I make the right choice? Do I need to go a different direction again? Because I have a squirrel brain. So but I'm sticking to my guns here, sticking to the guardrails I've put up for myself. And hopefully my new ops assistant will also babysit me and be like, no, Sam, slap my hand. Like you may not do that. You don't go down that route.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Last question is
Okay.
how can the listener get in touch with you? What's a good way to connect with you?
Yeah, go to my LinkedIn, Samantha C. Prestage. I try to have so much great free content on there. Or you can go to our website, which I was not smart with my SEO when I made this, but it's AUXOSVS.com, OXOservices.com. And there's some really great free resources there. There's also a hiring kit that details everything I mentioned about map it, keep it, delegate it, and how to figure out the interview questions that pull out the green and red flags custom to your role that you're hiring for. That's in that hiring kit as well. So check that out if you want to dig deeper and you think you're ready to hire. And you're like, maybe Sam's a little too bubbly for me and you don't want to talk to me. That's totally fine. You can DIY it with that hiring kit.
Fantastic. Sam, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And I'm so happy to know you. And thank you for coming on and saying yes to doing this interview.
Thank you. My cheeks are hurting with all the blushing and smiling that we've done. So thank you for having me.
You're fantastic. And for you, the listener, it would be such a pleasure to hear what was your big takeaway? What was your aha from this particular episode? And where are you in the hiring journey? And how has it gone for you? If you have a nightmare story and you want to share it with me, send me an email. I'm always happy to hear from you. But thank you so much for being here and thank you for listening. I am wishing you a very successful day. Take care.